Welcome to Hope Matters, a production of Mount Olive Lutheran Church here in Santa Monica, California. My name is Pastor Eric Schaefer. I'm the senior pastor here at Mount Olive. And each week we talk to an interesting person from around the community and around the USA and even around the world about the theme of hope, because we believe that hope matters. My guest today is Dr. Cynthia Moe Lobeda, who is professor of theology and social ethics at the Pacific Lutheran Theological Seminary in Berkeley, California, affectionately known as PLTS, which recently became a graduate school of the California Lutheran University in Thousand Oaks and other places, including Berkeley now. And so, Cynthia, welcome, and thank you for being with us today.
I'm delighted to be here. Thank you.
I looked at your long vitae and your impressive background, but there are themes in your background and special interest, and environment, justice. Those are certainly two of the big ones, aren't they? As we look at what you're interested in and what you've done in your life.
Yes, they are, and to me they're utterly connected to each other. In fact, I really came into ecological issues through my concerns about social justice issues, especially economic justice and racial justice. And that just led me to ecological issues because environmental devastation weighs so much more heavily on people who are already marginalized around the world.
That's right. That's right. There's no question about that. And we could all have a whole conversation just on that. But let's talk about that. So you are heading up a Center for Climate Justice at PLTS. Tell our viewers a little bit about that.
Oh, sure. We have launched a new Center for Climate Justice and Faith. And it is really seeking to prepare people, lay people and clergy people and people in preparation for ministry, to be powerful agents of social transformation toward a more ecologically sustainable world, and a world that really values fully equity amongst people. So we're trying to build spiritual strength and a sense of community and wisdom and skills for the work of climate justice. Wonderful.
Boy, there's so many things we could talk about, but let me push you a little bit on that. Let's say I have a member who's deeply concerned about the issue of climate change and justice, but doesn't know how to begin. What would you advise the average person, so to speak?
Sure.
They want to get into this theme, but don't know how to get started.
Wow, that's a beautiful question. I want to say one thing. This is a very interesting interview because I didn't know the questions ahead of time.
I know.
This really is just a conversation.
But I did promise you there'd be no tricky ones. So.
Well, no. But a lot of times you planned out because you know your questions ahead of time. So this is lovely. Well, two things they could do, very practically speaking, is at our center at PLTS, we offer a certificate in climate justice and faith. So anyone can apply for a 9-month certificate that works with people from around the world. The participants this year are from a number of countries in Africa, in Indonesia, in Mexico, in Central America, and many parts of the US. And it's an excellent training program. And we also offer a marvelous program called Community Organizing for Climate Justice as Faith Active in Love, to speak Lutheran jargon. And that is a 3-month program where people come together to really learn how to the skills for doing climate justice work in their communities. And so that is one thing someone could do, is just enroll in that program or in either of those programs. one of the other things that we're doing is building a circle of partner congregations and synods. So a congregation could decide to become a partner with this center. And then there would be networking with other congregations and talking about what people can do. I have learned so deeply that many people, including many people in the church, are aghast at the horrors that are wrought by climate change and will be, but don't know what to do.
Yeah. How do you start it?
Our intent is really to try so that everyone can say, I have power to make a difference, but not I just as a solo individual. I as a part of the body of Christ, and I as a part of the whole movement around the globe now that is saying, no, we must stop destroying Earth's climate. And so you are so right that many people want to, but don't know what to do. So anyway, though, affiliating in any of those ways with the center is one idea. And one of the things that I also always say is to be involved in change toward a climate-friendly world by working on 3 levels. And one is your own lifestyle and the lifestyle of your congregation. And another level is social structural change. For instance, public policy work on the state and local level. One can easily connect with our Lutheran Office of Public Policy in California, or we have a full-time person working on environmental justice at our advocacy office in Washington, D.C. So to connect with them and say, what are the public policy issues and how do we begin to become advocates on the public policy level? So anyway, the lifestyle level, the social structural level through public policy, and then also the worldview level. What do we think? Who do we think we are in this world? Do we think we're here to use up the earth, or do we think that we're here to be blessed by being a part of the earth community and contributing to it? So those are 3 levels on which to.
That's excellent. Thank you. As you were talking, I was thinking, there's something very Lutheran about that, in the sense of our heritage, this rural heritage that especially the German and Scandinavian Lutherans come out of. They understood taking care of the planet. They got it. They weren't pumping chemicals into their farms. They got it. They knew about sustainability and lived it. And I think we can maybe we can capitalize on our heritage in that sense.
There is, you're so right. There's so much in our heritage, in that lifeways heritage, and also our theological heritage. Luther was amazing in his statements about God, Christ, and as God as Christ and God as Spirit indwelling, living within the things of the earth, within the waters and the fire. Luther really said a great deal about the presence of God in the things of the earth, and also about wonder and awe, and just relishing the stunning beauty. I think, I wish I could use his words correctly right here. If I would fully recognize the beauty of a grain of wheat, I would, tremble in awe. I'm paraphrasing very, very poorly, but to live in wonder and awe of the beauty of creation and the sacredness of creation as bearing the divine is part of our heritage. Yeah.
So, as you know, the theme of this program is hope, and especially in your areas where you see so much injustice and so much environmental degradation, how do you hold on to hope in the midst of those kind of things?
Wow.
This one I did warn you about this one.
Yeah. For me, that's a very crucial question, because I am aware that according to the science of climate change, there is not a lot of room for hope. We have gone very, very far along an irreversible trail. There is room, great room for minimizing the catastrophe coming in for us. But that's not my source of hope. My hope, I have found such wholeness in recognizing two things. One, the paradox of the beautiful Lutheran paradox of both and, that I can have despair and hope outweighs my despair. But my hope really lies in my understanding of the cross and resurrection, that life, I understand the promise of the resurrection to mean that always life, God will raise life out of death and destruction, that the last word is not death and destruction. And to me, that was very real in my life as a young person, when I became aware of systemic injustice and I lost hope by virtue of how insidious it was. And I went to see the one person, I could think of one person to help me, and it was a Lutheran pastor in Seattle. And I went to visit him and I asked where on earth he found hope when there is so much to not have hope about when you look at systems of injustice. And while I don't remember exactly what he said, I remember its impact on me. And he said, you know, Cindy, I know the end of the story. And by that, he meant that regardless of the brutality of any death or destruction, God will render us the most magnificent life out of it. So to me, that means that whatever happens with climate change, we are in the embrace of a loving God who will embrace all with God's love forever. And we are simply to work toward that in every way that we can on earth, and not worry about the end of the story, because we know in some way we do not comprehend that God holds us. And that doesn't mean that we just sit back, because as Lutherans, we know God works through human hands and feet. So it means that just that we work towards God's ends of life abundant for all, John 10:10. And we can do that knowing the end of the story in some mysterious way is the embrace of God. Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's perfect for our interview today. If people want to find out more about the Center for Climate Justice and Faith at PLTS, how can they find out more details?
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. We're so new that our website for the center is not finished and up yet. But I think what they really could do initially is contact me. And then I would put them in contact with the many dimensions of our program. And to contact me, you would just go to CMOELO, B as in boy, E, D as in dog, A, at plts.edu. So that's my name.
Right.
And I would quickly connect them with our work at the center. I'm glad you asked that. Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you for being with us today on Hope Matters, Cynthia. I really appreciate it. It's really been a lovely short discussion that maybe we can continue sometime also.
Good. Thank you for doing this series. Thank you so much, Pastor.
You're welcome. It's wonderful. Yeah. This has been Hope Matters, a weekly production of Mount Olive Lutheran Church here in Santa Monica, California. I'm Pastor Eric Schaefer, the senior pastor here at Mount Olive. Our guest this week has been Dr. Cynthia Moe Lobeda, who is professor of theology and social ethics at the Lutheran Seminary in Berkeley, Pacific Lutheran Theological Seminary in Berkeley, California, the seminary of those of us in the West. And we're so glad that you could be with us, Cynthia, today.
Mhm. Mhm.
So watch next week for every Wednesday, a new program on Hope Matters, because we believe that hope matters, and we believe in a God of hope.